Today, I want to show you how to build a lesson plan and a grading rubric, as well as then use that rubric to provide a grade for the assignment and include student feedback, all right within the new Bing browser. This is limited to people who are access to the new Bing, which includes the Chat GPT for integration. But let me start by just taking a simple topic. Now, I'm going to start with the April Public Forum debate resolution on biometric surveillance. But regardless as to what subject you can imagine giving yourself a similar assignment. In this case, what I'm trying to do with my debaters is to just get them to understand background information about the topic so they can go and prepare to debate it. And I would probably not start with having them write a basic essay or paper, but for the purpose of having this be relevant to everyone, what I'm going to do is start there. So say I am, logged into the new Bing, and I just want to say, please explain biometric surveillance. And I hit return, okay, and it starts explaining biometric surveillance. Now you may wonder, gee, how am I going to create a lesson plan out of this? Well, in the top right, you're going to see the new Bing chat, all right? And I kind of default to having it be a little bit more precise because I'm not trying to be creative here in any particular way. I'd like the students to learn some information. And now remember, when we're prompting, we always want to kind of think about the role, the specific prompt itself, and then giving some additional details. So I'm going to say I am a high school debate coach, and I want to develop a lesson for my students so that they can begin to understand the basics of our current debate topic on biometric surveillance. Please produce a lesson plan that requires them to write a 500-word essay, include the pros and the cons, 5 source citations, and anything else you think is important. I need to spell that right. Please include learning objectives. Please include learning objectives and an assessment in the form of a grading rubric that I can use my principal see this, so please use a conventional lesson plan format. Then I'll simply hit enter, and the tool will go to work. Now, I didn't say how long the lesson is, but it starts giving me a bunch of criteria and looks for what is in each one and provides a pretty detailed assessment. Now, what I will do is I will go through and I'm going to pretend that I wrote 2 papers. Yeah, so I have my 2 papers. You can see over here I've written 2 papers for the purpose of completing this assignment. Now imagine that the first paper is done. I believe this is only the first paper. And I'm going to say, please grade this student paper based on the rubric provided. Identifying how the student scored on each part of the rubric. Please also provide student feedback. And now you don't want to hit enter until, okay, you've put in the essay. This is the essay. And I'm just copying, pasting it in there. All right. And we can see that it has the essay and goes down through. Now, it doesn't include, because it caps out at 2,000 words, currently in this version, it's not going to have the whole essay, so it should impact how it's graded. It notes that the conclusion is missing because it's not there. It also notes that no source citations are included. So it figures out which parts of the paper are not present. Now I'm going to ask it to grade the second essay. And yes, it gets to the sources, so I should get some commentary on that. So it notices I have a conclusion. Notices I have some sources, but they're not really in the proper format. It gives me a general evaluation, and it provides some feedback to the students. So there's a few things I want to note at the end here. One is that it does notice the differences between the essays that are submitted and able to provide feedback. The second, of course, within the development of the lesson, the rubric, the grading, and of course the feedback. We shouldn't leave this all, at least in this stage in the development of the technology, and hopefully never, to the discretion of the computer. But you can see that it'll give you a lot to get started. And in the area of feedback in particular, you can start with a lot of feedback, maybe take a few minutes as a teacher to add a bit more feedback, but that's probably more total feedback than you would otherwise have the time to give. Now, there's a couple implications I thought of just towards the end of this. The first is a positive implication, and that is that a student could take the teacher's grading criteria, put them into a bot, and then like this one or something similar, and then ask the bot to assess their own work, copy and paste in their essay, and see how they're doing. And then based on the feedback they've received, they may be comfortable and say, wow, this thing, based on the feedback provided and the scores and the parts of my essay, I think I'm going to get a pretty good grade and I'm going to turn this in. Or they may say, well, gee, this really is where my essay is weak. So I want to go ahead and I want to improve my essay in these particular areas. Now, there are a couple potential downsides here that I thought of at the end. One is that, and most kind of thought-provokingly, what if a student were to do this and they kept revising their essay till they basically get it right according to the criteria that the teacher has issued? Even if the teacher, if he or she came up with that criteria on their own, they're not Bing generated criteria or generated from another place. If that student improves their essay to the point where it's meeting the criteria of the assignment, they turn it in and they get a B. How are they going to go and argue with the teacher and say, well, the feedback I got from the system shows that it should have been an A. Now, the teacher at this stage, of course, in development of the technology, just be like, well, I'm the teacher. I've decided this is going to start to get more complicated as the technology improves, as maybe the student might suggest that, the teacher's grading is discriminatory. I'm not in any way suggesting that, but I could see a student or a parent making that argument. And then three, what do we do with systems that are supported and integrated with schools? Right now, all these systems are just out there, and people are using different ones and trying different things. But if this is a school authorized system, and it's kind of basically showing that the student grade should be an A, right, based on whatever criteria, but the teacher is saying it's a B, then what happens? And then the second thing, of course, I'll point out, I think it's a generic concern everybody has. This probably was not the best assignment. Why? Why was it not great to give an essay assignment? Because I really just had ChatGPT just write the essay. And you can see that, of course, ChatGPT had some strengths and it has some weaknesses. And maybe one of the upsides of that is, hey, it wasn't great on ChatGPT's first roll, so it's going to force the students to improve their essays. But that's going to improve. That ability is going to improve as well.